Hey everybody, welcome back to Event About It, the Dynamic Dialogue After Show. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and I'm here today with Devin Bramhall. Devin is a growth advisor, author, and former CEO who's best known for challenging how B2B marketing actually works, especially when it comes to content, leadership, and strategy. She's led teams without a traditional playbook, spoken on stages all over the world, and has been very honest about what happens when the old rules stop working. So before we dig into content, context, and events, I actually want to start somewhere a little bit personal. As I was prepping for our interview today, there were a couple things that I was reading about you that resonated very much with me. And that is this very non-traditional path that you've had. And you can't see it in my background, but I have a sign on my wall that says weird is a side effect of awesome. And my phone says stay weird. And it took me a long time to figure out that like my quirkiness was actually very much an asset. And I think you have lived similar experiences. So I'm curious, like, was there a moment where you realized that it wasn't a weakness, but like your non-traditional path and things that made you self-conscious about yourself actually were your greatest asset?
No. And my mom's been trying to tell me my entire career. And I think it's been a work in progress. A lot of times my greatest assets are the things that like can piss people off a little bit, right? Like I was challenging my leaders. Like I was kind of a pill. I was very effective and good, but it didn't always make me the easiest person to work with until, again, as I grew up and I learned how to navigate that better. Sure. And then even as it relates to consulting and coaching is like my job most of the time is to tell people the truth in a way, and it's a truth that they don't want to hear. And so I spend a lot of time having to convince them of that. So I think, no, there was no aha moment. And it's something that's always going to be hard for me. I'm always going to be a little self-conscious because the thing that I do for people makes them a little bit uncomfortable. And so it's always going to make me question myself a lot. But I will say that the thing that did work, the thing that did help me see my value or is helping is hiring other people to help me grow my business.
Do you think having this sort of non-traditional way of thinking and seeing areas and things that other people can't because of non-traditional paths and just growing up differently and things, did that make you more patient with ambiguity? Like living in the unknown feels very comfortable for you.
Yes, didn't always, but also like it's a product. I'm 42 now. Like the age definitely, I would say no for most of my life. I actually really craved certainty. And in a way that I think people who grow up in a traditional school system and, if you're following this invisible template of life your whole life, of course you crave something else. I didn't have that. Therefore, stability, like the antithesis looked at times like stability, though I always I liked my life. It's also equally as challenging, just in different ways.
Sure. A theme that comes up a lot on the after shows is being curious. And I think when you don't have a blueprint in front of you to follow, it forces you to be very curious and think wider and broader than like, I'm climbing this ladder and this is what I do. And you do the thing to get to the thing. And I think you and I just don't operate in that way. Like there is no blueprint, which causes us to be very curious about a lot of different things and being able to then connect those what seem like very distant dots into some sort of sense of normalcy is not the right word, but
you're just creating
attribution, if you will.
As you're making it. You're like, I don't know what this painting is supposed to be. Right now, I know that I want X and Y. This is where I want to be, like short, it's just more like short-term, long-term spectrum stuff. It's funny you say that about curiosity, because curiosity and bravery were two of the values that I set when I became CEO at Animals. And curiosity and bravery in particular, I kind of kept with me even afterwards because I believed in them so strongly. Curiosity opens the door, but it also requires some amount of bravery, because when you're, to satisfy that curiosity or even be open to it, you have to be open to the unknown and to being pretty like, I've been uncomfortable my entire career, and that has made all the difference, right? It's like you're seeking out new things that you don't know how to do and just kind of being like, what's here? How do I do? So yeah, strongly, I still live by curiosity, like day to day.
Same. I think that's probably what made me so in love with all the things you do, and reading all about all of that very much resonated with me. Okay, last piece of career advice, and then we're going to get into like content and events. But I was reading an article that someone interviewed you, and you were giving career advice that was writing is thinking, and thinking is a path to whatever career you want. And I'm curious why that resonated so much with you.
I think that when you start processing for yourself, like writing is thinking, however you do it, maybe it's drawing, however you express yourself and your thoughts, it helps you start to think for yourself. And a lot of people think they are thinking for themselves, and they are not at all. They are simply thinking within a framework that was made up by somebody at some point. And now other people follow. I became a CEO and thought everyone knew what they were doing. Then I was like, I like asked a bunch of CEOs. I was like, well, what, and they were like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And I was like, seems like? I thought there was a way. Like, where's the Bible for CEOing? And they're like, I'm just making it up as I go along. I'm like, what? And that's true for everybody. And so knowing that, I realized how much more power I had.
This whole full circle moment happened for me recently, and recently launching the newsletter that I do and testing products and sharing what that is in real world and all that. 20 years ago, as a side hustle, I was doing content marketing for this little outdoor store near my house. Some of those videos still exist. I can't even believe I'm still talking about them. Please don't go find them. They're cringy and horrible. They're so bad.
Yep.
But then that was just like some side hustle money because I was outdoorsy and I liked it, and I, wanted some extra cash. So we did it. And now here I am, 20 something years later, full content creator with this newsletter doing the same thing, a YouTube channel doing it again on my own in a niche that I love, which is all about shoes and travel. That's kind of a good segue into starting to talk a little bit about content in this area that you live in every day. And a few years ago, you made the claim that content marketing had plateaued. And I'm curious, like, what actually plateaued? Was it the content itself, or just the way people were thinking about content marketing?
Yeah, great question. The plateau was, it had become a playbook that B2B companies simply followed as part of
it was a checkbox.
Yeah.
Like, we did it. We did content marketing. Check.
Right. And the thing is, content marketing, when it first developed as a thing, it was indeed a strategy. And what made it a strategy was, one, not everybody was doing it. There was a wide open plane of, keywords and content to fill in, right? It was a differentiator precisely because not every company was doing it. And even if other companies were doing it, there was so much topical opportunity that it could create a unique advantage for a company to not just exist, but grow. To me, the second a strategy becomes a playbook, and that playbook becomes pervasive, it's no longer a strategy, and it actually reaches a point of diminishing returns, which I think we've been seeing play out over the past couple of years, above and beyond the algorithm changes.
At some point, some of the content lost like a point of view. Like there was nothing special. Like everyone, and I feel that even now, like everyone's just kind of saying the same thing in a different way over and over again. And there's not that many unique viewpoints when it comes to content that I'm reading. Like, it's all just so noisy. But then the people who do have these unique viewpoints are struggling to break through all of that noise because it's so easy to generate online content, digital content now, that the market is just flooded with noise.
What is content does not matter at all. Content can be anything in the whole world. All these names that we've given aspects of go-to-market motion are zero important and actually kind of completely missing the point and ruining your strategy. You want to grow a company. You have customers. Where are customers? How do customers get in? Like, where do they, all that stuff. Like, if you stop trying to create personas, identify SEO keyword topic areas and clusters and create it. If you stopped doing all of that and we're like, hi, I'm a company that wants to grow. I have these people. There's a bunch of stuff these people are used to having and they don't really need. What do they not have that they need? How can I give that to them? What B2B SaaS companies have done is taken various, like, separated every aspect of a company into a different department. This is product. This is product marketing. This is marketing. This is digital marketing. This is content marketing. This is email marketing.
Brand, marketing ops, all the things.
And like, all of you have lost the plot. If you're all working together towards growing the company and you're thinking about it in terms of, what your customer needs to do whatever job you're helping them to do, which definitely involves a product, education, like all these different things, depending, then you're thinking from a mindset where content itself doesn't matter. Like, if someone, honest to God, this is going to sound terrible, but someone comes to me like talking about, and I'm like, content, I'm like, what? Who cares? Who cares? We're here to grow companies. Yes. We do it by connecting with people. And the means with which we have to connect are digital and physical.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that's a great segue into why events matter in the context of community and connection and growing businesses. Because as online is getting messier, AI, this is the hill I'm willing to die on, and I have posted about this 1,000 times. AI was the greatest thing to ever happen to the events industry. Because the internet is so messy now. And it's so hard to tell what's real and not real online. The only way you know if it actually happened or if that person actually said it is if you hear it for yourself in person. And the next gen that's coming in, they're craving community and connection. Like, these are kids who've grown up with iPads in front of them since the moment they, could walk. And it's the greatest era to be working in events and leveraging them to grow companies, in my opinion. And I'm like super blessed to work in this intersection of it because I think it's really special. And I think the content, I think we have to rethink about what it means to put on an event now, because they are these massive content media engines that grow businesses, because you get your customers in a room, you get your prospects in a room, your partners, you're growing trust, you're putting all of the humanness back into interactions.
That's such, oh my God, girl. I'm like, you had me at hello with that one. I had never thought about it that way. And I'm like, yes, like, finger snaps. The events that I have had the best experiences at the past few years have been smaller and more curated, or they're a large event where I speak, and therefore the experiences I have are more curated, right? You have different sort of like dinners you go to, you have events for just the speakers, you have this green room where you're interacting with these people, your peers in your space, where you're like, oh my gosh, like, I've never met April Dunford, and I met her one time sitting at a table with a bunch of my marketing friends at B2B Forum. The value of being able to have smaller experiences with attendees so you can really connect with them and convert them into a fan, or convert a fan into, a customer, an advocate, whatever. Like, I've experienced firsthand how valuable that is.
And this my certainly belief, but do you think events make it harder to hide behind good enough? Like when we think about digital content, you can put it out there and like, oh, it's good enough, just ship it. But in the event world, good enough really isn't good enough anymore. Like
Oh,
people are, no, tell me
oh
why.
no. I've been to tons of mediocre events. It's probably like the majority of the events out there. The thing is about events is everybody goes there for a reason. And
Right.
the reason has nothing to do with the people talking on stage unless that person is more junior and they want to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
People
think,
always say the number two reasons, number one is always networking.
yeah.
And so we have to get much more intentional, like putting people, when I say good enough, like putting people in a room and saying, go network, that's to a planner. A lot of planners, they're like, well, that's good enough. We provided space for people to network. Well, I'm super introverted. So putting me in a room with 1,000 people and being like, go talk to all these strangers is my worst nightmare.
Mm.
And so I think that's what I mean when I say context of good enough, because networking is number one, why people go. And then content is number two. I want to find and hear things when I go to your event that I can't Google, because
Oh,
otherwise
so
it could have just
here's
been an
the other
email.
thing. If it is a large event, there is no possible way to curate all the experiences that the people going there are looking to have, even within the category of networking or content. Your job is you're the blunt force instrument, and it's the person who's going's job or their marketing team to come up with a strategy, set those meetings up, figure out what you're going to do in advance. You are almost entirely responsible for how quote unquote good your event experience is, because you can have an event that's run poorly but has the right people there, and it does, like, I mean, you don't even have to go to the event.
Right.
And so like I don't really think that matters. The networking piece, the unique situations and experiences you're in with people, the kind of serendipity and all of that, that's like why I advocate for events, is because I'm like, every single time I've hosted or been to an event, something happened after, something developed after,
Yeah.
that I didn't expect or orchestrate.
Well, a couple final questions here. So when you're leading a company, what do you want from your event and marketing teams? Like beyond leads or metrics or decks, like how do those two teams need to show up for you as the CEO?
I need them to show up as business strategists more than harbingers of the content, like the thing. I need you to think like a business strategist and own your side of the business, specifically as it relates to growing the business. Having to review your strategy or your reports and constantly have to remind you of that in the things that you're presenting to me and your whys and all of that.
Yeah.
Don't come at me with your problems. Come to me with solutions, right? Own your space, come to me with solutions, keep your focus on growing the companies. And I'm likely to give you so much more without you even having to try that hard.
And thinking about that too, what's something you think professionals leave on the table at events? For me, content and the data that comes out of events is drastically underutilized. It's the most important first party data to understand where people are, where your customers are, where your prospects are, what they're struggling with, how you can help solve it. So much of that is underutilized. I think content in the same way. Like if you're going to spend $50,000+ to get your CEO on a stage and no one records it, or no one's there to capture leads of every person in line to talk to your CEO after their talk, like missed opportunities.
I think the most valuable thing I've learned related to just about everything marketing related is that absolutely not one thing matters at all empirically. All that matters is what you want to get, like what you want to happen, what you have to make it happen, and how you put those things together to get, and if you execute it well. And so like, there isn't a single tactic that I recommend. There isn't a single amount of money, profit margin, nothing. I have nothing to say about any of that because it entirely depends on your unique business strategy and customer and circumstances. So,
yes. Well, I think that's the perfect place to wrap up our conversation. If
am I like
there's
the
one
nihilist of marketing? I think that's what I am now. I think that's what happens when you like become you've been doing something for too long. You become the nihilist of it. I'm like, that is me. I'm like, nothing matters. It's all fine.
Well, I think in the context of this conversation, it's really that events don't matter because of what they produce. It matters because of what they reveal and reveal to their attendees and reveal to each other and reveal about your business and how to help it grow.
Yeah.
And it's not really about just producing an event. There's so much more that comes from it.
It's about the experience that you give to the people who are there so that if your goal is for them to return again and continue spending money on it, they do. Or if your goal is something else, right? Like, absolutely, 100%. And it can be both, you know?
It can be. Well, thank you so much for being here and being honest, and loved all the ideas and the takeaways. And thanks for tuning in to another Event About It after show, because the best conversations start after the show ends. Until next time, stay curious.